Hey everyone, Greg here, and today I'm going to audit a photography website. We're going to take heatherparker.com. I'm going to walk you through in about 5 to 6 minutes everything that they can do to drive more traffic and business through Google and Bing. So let's get started. Here we are on the home page. I'm actually going to open up the site within Chrome, and the first thing that I always look at for photography sites is images. Images obviously tell a great story, but the problem right here is that you'll notice that it was uploaded as 374 by 249 pixels in the CMS, which is WordPress. You scaled it down. The problem with that is that the original file still lives there. That means that when a user like myself has to come to this site, especially if I've never been there before, it has to load all the elements right here. So it's going to be a slower load for people on their phones, on their desktops, on their tablets, etc. So really, you want to fix that. Always make sure you upload images the exact way that you want. Don't scale them down within the CMS. Second thing is that I always look at is the robots text file. This is just standard, so all websites, just as an FYI, this is the first place Google and Bing are generally going to look at when they visit a site. It basically tells them where they can and cannot look. It's good you have a few disallows and allows here. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I'm going to talk about the sitemap. So the sitemap is kind of like the navigation for Google and Bing to understand where to look, what are the most important pages. You don't necessarily need a sitemap. Both bots are pretty smart, but a sitemap is just another guide for them to find useful content. The problem I see here is that you use Yoast, which Yoast itself is fine, but when it comes to the sitemap though, I don't think it's very good. The problem with the XML sitemap from Yoast is that they're going to put a lot of different file types in this. There's a lot of bloat within this, so think about your crawl budget right now, and really what that means is that every time Google and Bing come to your site, they're going to have to go through all these different variations, all these different URLs, and try to crawl and index, and it's going to take away from your most important pages. So if you're having a problem trying to drive ranks, this is actually it. Google and Bing are spending too much time on these pages, so you want to create your own type of sitemap. The next thing that I use is SEMrush. I have a free 7-day trial link on my site, so if you're interested, you can use that, and you can put in your site, and you can get an audit score just like I did right now. And right now you're at C, so 76% total score. And I'm just going to show you real quick some things that you need to look at and make sure you're tackling in terms of SEO. The biggest thing that I can see is that the unminified JavaScript and CSS files. Really what that means is that you have a lot of extra code that lives because you're using WordPress. There's nothing wrong with it. I use WordPress too, but a lot of the plugins are going to have a lot of extra code. It's just more time for Google and Bing to go through, to understand, to fully read every line of code. It's just too much. So you want to minify the code. It's going to actually load your site even quicker for users, great user experience, and just easier for bots like Google and Bing to understand where they're going. You have some 404s on your site as well, some really basic stuff like broken links, but that's all. Those are all things that can be relatively fixed fast. So we're at 3 minutes now. So let's look at your site from an overall view. Again, looking at it with an SEMrush, I can tell for the last year your traffic has been on a decline. So it's really unfortunate because you have a great looking site. I'm sure you do great work too, but from an SEO perspective, it's going the wrong way, and the wrong way as in just less traffic. So I took it a step further. I took it within the positions tool within SEMrush. I'm looking at just the wedding terms right now, and really the thing that I notice is that you're not on page 1 for any of these terms. And I know this field, it's very competitive. Wedding photography is super just like cutthroat in terms of just advertisers, the cost it does for Google or Facebook, etc. Organic search is a real way to kind of have like that relief when it comes to driving business to your site. So again, you have a plethora of terms you rank for, none of which are on page 1. So I'm going to go back to your site. We have about 1 minute left, so I'm going to quickly just explain this. Here's your site, and if I go to info, I'm going to see your services section here. The problem that I can already see is that your local weddings, your Chicago weddings, and your Boston weddings are all on the same page. This is an opportunity to really break this out into its own pages because you really want to optimize one for each. So Boston weddings on one page, Chicago weddings on another. Make sure it's in the title tag, the H1 tag. Break it down into like the content. Really get semantic with how you're actually approaching this. So you don't want to keep using the words like Boston, Boston, Boston. You want to do kind of what you're doing here, where you mentioned in some nice landmarks, the Trinity Church and Old South Church. I'm located in Cambridge, so I know exactly where these things are. And Google's actually pretty smart to it, connecting different places like that as well. So you're on the right track, but you really want to make sure you're breaking this out into its own pages. Finally, last tip, we're about the 5-minute mark. you want to, if you have a location or if you have two, you can actually update this within structured markup data. Put it in as your location. You can even get down to the geolocations as well, so longitude and latitude. Structured markup, Google and Bing can actually read that, understand exactly where your location is. It really helps with local search engine optimization, so it's just another way to help improve your ranks. Thank you for watching the video, and let me know if you have any questions.